Hello, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of this podcast. But before we get into it, I'm going to let you get what you need to get whatever snacks you need to grab. And I'm going to give you a minute to do so to get ready for this story. It's very deep. So come on, you guys. I need you guys to get ready, get prepared because it's a lot that went down. So you guys already know what to do. Get what you need to get, and let's get ready. Okay, you guys, let's get into it. So during the beginning of my sophomore year, and I will never forget it because when it happened when how I remember this event altogether is because um when it happened when On My Block season 4 came out, which is how I remember when this situation happened. I have asthma. And so during the beginning of my sophomore year, I believe it was like towards the end of September entering into October. Or it happened during that last week of September. I had a severe asthma attack. And before I had the asthma attack, I was sick. I had a little cold. I didn't really expect nothing of the cold. It was just a regular cold. It wasn't really anything like, you know, serious. I had a little cold and everything was fine. But then I was in class and I started breathing weirdly. And one of my friends was like, "Is you okay?" And I was like, "Do you hear me like?" Because when your asthma is acting up, your voice makes whistling sounds, like high pitched whistling sounds. So my friend could hear me. He was like, "Is you okay?" And he was like, "You can hear me breathing." And I was like, "Okay, let me take my pump." So my pump wasn't working, and I was like, "Okay, let me take it again." And it still wasn't working. I was like, "Okay, if it doesn't stop when I get to my next period class, I'm gonna tell my mom that she needs to come pick me up and see what's going on." And so it didn't stop. So I got my report card. No, it was my report card. I got it. And I told Mr. Satchel, I gotta head downstairs because, something wrong with my asthma. I told my mom she had to pick me up. And he was like, "Hope you feel better," and whatever. And so I went downstairs. My mom got me, and so we went home. So I have like a breathing machine, basically like the pump, but it just takes longer to provide medicine. It's a nebulizer or Neb Ultra or whatever it's called, but it's the same thing as the asthma pump, but it just takes more time to give the medicine. I have to breathe it in and out. It's like a breathing machine. And so that didn't work. I dropped tea. That didn't work. I got under this vapor machine. The vapor machine is very strong. Like it's a lot stronger. And so it's like when I say like it's really strong, like it is like really strong. But the vapor machine, it was working actually. It was getting like because I guess it was because it was super strong, but it was working. Like it really was working. But it wasn't lasting though. Like once it would stop or like calm down, it would come back. Like it will start back up again. And so if you don't know what asthma does, asthma just causes your lungs to produce extra mucus. And so it wasn't stopping. It just kept rebuilding back up. So my mom called her pastor, who's a nurse, and she was like, "Well, my son's, we got to, what should I do?" And she said, if it doesn't stop after you try this, you need to take him to the hospital immediately. So we tried, I forgot what it was that we did, but we tried something else and it didn't work. So we rushed to West Suburban. Let me tell you guys right now, I urge you not to go to West Suburban. It is the worst medical center in Chicago to ever go to. Like, do not go there. So I went to West Suburban. I was sitting in the weight room for like hours, mind you, and I'm telling you, like, my asthma was acting up horribly. Like, I couldn't breathe properly. And so it was really scary, but I was trying to stay calm. I was very calm through the entire situation. My mom was trying to tell the man, like, my son's asthma's not acting up, like, y'all need to do something. They wasn't doing nothing. They just told me to sit down. I was sitting and waiting. There were other people having their issues while I was having mine. I was just trying to stay calm and breathe. And I was using the pump, like I was using it and using it, even though it wasn't working, but it was sort of like helping a little bit, but it wasn't really helping, like, clear it out. So I was at West Suburban for hours, mind you, like hours. I was at West Suburban for hours and they weren't doing anything. And they, after like hours of waiting, they finally got me and they did the same thing. They gave me the same medicine that I already had and it didn't even work. I guess it was at a stronger dose, but it didn't work at all. So my mom was praying and I was just trying to stay calm and focus on my breath. And I was trying to pray too. I was like, Lord, it was nothing but God that got me through that situation, because I was sitting at West Suburban for almost 9 hours that night. So finally they got me a transport to what is it called? It's Chicago's medical center. I forgot what it's called. It's Chicago's uh let me search it up. What is the name of Chicago's medical of Chicago's, I forgot what it's called. U Chicago, I believe that's the place. Yeah. U Chicago Hospital. Um yeah. Let me make sure it's the right. Yeah, I believe this is. It's U Chicago. It's within there. It's a hospital. It's a teaching hospital. And you're probably like, how do you know this for sure? How do you remember? I'm gonna explain that to you as well. So once they finally got me a transport to the hospital that I was supposed to go to, while I was sitting there for 19 hours that night, struggling to breathe, waiting that whole time when I could have died up in there. Mind you, I saw a patient code and I was like so nervous. I was so scared. I was like, Lord, please get me out of here. So they got me an ambulance from West Suburban to that hospital, to that teaching hospital. And so I felt so bad because my mom got off work and I know she was like really tired and stuff like that. So we finally got there. They put me on this oxygen mask. They strapped me down and my mom got in. She was falling asleep on the thing. And I was just trying to focus on my breathing and stuff like that and just catching my breath and keeping my breath together and not freaking out. And so we got there. I got inside the hospital and there was like lots of people when I got inside this teaching hospital. It was lots of patients covered around me. And so my mom saw them, like saw all the people. She immediately, it's not funny, but she immediately put up her mask on her face because she didn't expect to see that many people like that. So they were all bunched up and my mom was like, why aren't these people in rooms? And the lady was like, because they don't have insurance. And when she said that, I felt so bad. Like, I felt so bad. And so they were rushing me to a room because my mom had insurance thanks to her job. So I was like, thanking God. I was like, Lord, I don't know. I just can't even like imagine. I felt so bad for those people. And so they rushed me to a room and they gave me this steroid, a lot stronger than what that other hospital gave. Didn't even know they were doing, but they gave me a steroid that would basically calm down the inflammation in my, like around and in my lungs, and they gave me a shot of it. And so after that, it did work. They gave me a shot of the steroid, and it was definitely more stronger and more effective. And then they kept putting me under stronger doses of the asthma medication, like almost every 2 hours, to just remove all the mucus that was in my lungs. The steroids calmed down the inflammation and the swelling and all that stuff. So after they did all that and it was working and everything was dying down with my breathing, they ran tests on me. And so they ran tests and they were like trying to see what caused this, trigger for my asthma. And guess why? It was because I forgot what it's called. but it was because of a cold that activated my asthma like that. So I was like, are you serious? Like, all because of a cold? And she was like, yeah. And it triggered my asthma. Now, you're probably wondering, what do you mean you were at a teaching hospital? I'm pretty sure y'all seen Grey's Anatomy. So, U Chicago Medicine, or the hospital within that uh that district of Chicago that I went to, was a teaching hospital. Basically, when I say teaching hospital, there was, and I was surprised, like there was an attending, a resident, and an intern, just like in Grey's Anatomy. So they, one by one of them kept checking my blood pressure, and it was like, may I check your blood pressure? And I was like, sure. The next person asked me, can I check your blood pressure? And so I guess they were just teaching them how to check blood pressure and stuff like that. And I was like, sure, sure, sure. And I was getting so irritated because every time they came in to check on me, it was like three of them, because one was an attending, one was and you guys know. So they were teaching each other. And I was like, this hospital is just like Grey's Anatomy. You know, you actually have the attendings, the resident, and the intern. Because one was asking me, there was like, can I check your blood pressure? Then the other asked, can I check your? I was like, sure, go ahead. And I was getting so aggravated because each time it was like one after the other. Got to lift my shirt up, checking my. I was like, it's fine, go ahead, you know, yada yada yada. It was very fun. I was definitely missing home while I was in the hospital. I told my mom to leave because she was taking off of work while I was up in there, because I was in the hospital for an entire week, right? And so I spent the second week at home recovering. Um, so I was 2 weeks out of school, and so I was in the hospital just playing games. And the reason why I remember I was in the hospital was because, like I said, I was in the hospital when On My Block season 4 came out, which is how I remember when I was in the hospital, because I watched On My Block in the hospital on their tablets and stuff like that. I was playing the games and stuff like that in the tablet, and I was just having fun. I was just relaxing and just trying to, and yeah. After that final week, went home, spent the next week at home doing all my work there and stuff like that. Just, you know, and it was a lot. It was very shocking. It was definitely a surprise. I haven't had asthma taking like years since I was like 7 and 6, because my mom was so good at controlling it and managing it. So it was a lot that happened. But it was scary. But I thank God that my mom had insurance, because I felt so bad for those people. Um, but yeah, I know it was a lot for this story. I hope you enjoyed it. It was very scary for me. I will never forget that. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. This, of me sharing to you this, of what happened to me. It was a lot. It was very scary, but thank God I'm still alive and stuff like that. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you already know what to do. Subscribe to the podcast. And yeah, bye guys.